$500,000 can buy a lot of things. For me, it bought a front row seat to watch my own destruction. I'm Mara, and 6 months ago I inherited $500,000 from my grandmother. She raised me after my parents died, taught me everything about business, about standing tall when life tries to knock you down. Money is power, she'd say, but only if you're smart about it. I wasn't smart about it. The company just needs a cash injection, Liam said, holding my hands across our kitchen table. Once we get past this rough patch, Roger's family imports will be unstoppable. His blue eyes sparkled with that charm that made me fall for him 2 years ago. I believed him. God, I believed everything. The next morning, I walked into their office building for the first time as an investor. Diana, my mother-in-law, wore her signature pearls and a smile that never reached her eyes. "Darling," she air-kissed my cheeks, "we're so grateful for your contribution." She gestured to the conference room. "The lawyers are waiting." My best friend Prudence, who I'd insisted handle the legal work, sat ready with contracts spread across the mahogany table. "Standard investment terms," she explained, sliding papers toward Diana and Robert, with one small addition about intellectual property rights. Diana barely glanced at the clause before signing. "Family doesn't need to read the fine print, right?" Prudence caught my eye. "Everyone should read the fine print, Mrs. Rogers." I threw myself into the work immediately. The company's books were a mess, vendors unpaid, inventory mismanaged, marketing non-existent. I stayed late every night, rebuilding their supply chain piece by piece. "You don't have to work so hard," Liam would say, kissing my forehead before heading home early. "We have people for that." But their people were part of the problem. The marketing director hadn't run a campaign in 8 months. The inventory manager couldn't explain $50,000 in missing stock. I started making changes. "I've hired a new marketing team," I announced at the family dinner 3 weeks in. "And I've negotiated better rates with our Asian suppliers." Diana's fork clattered against her plate. "We've used the same suppliers for 20 years. "Who were overcharging us by 40%, I countered. "The new contracts will save us." "Perhaps," Diana interrupted, "you should focus on learning our way of doing things before making such dramatic changes." Liam squeezed my knee under the table. "Not now," the squeeze said. I swallowed my response with my wine. The changes worked, though. Within 2 months, orders increased. Our social media presence exploded. I designed a new product line that caught the attention of major retailers. "You're a miracle worker," Isaias, our CFO, told me one evening as we reviewed the quarterly reports. "This company needed someone like you." But success came with shadows. Diana's comments grew sharper, wrapped in silk. "That's an interesting choice of dress for the vendor meeting, dear." "Oh, you're working late again?" "Liam must be so lonely." Liam grew distant, always in meetings I wasn't invited to. Always on his phone, turning the screen away when I entered the room. Tonight, I came home late again, another successful contract negotiation complete. The house was dark except for Liam's office light. I was about to knock when I heard his voice. "The Asian contract closes next week. 2 million, minimum." A pause. "Yes, I know. Once it clears, she's out. Cadence is a better match in every way." My blood turned to ice. The contract I'd just finalized, the one I'd spent months building, the one that would finally put the company firmly in the black. I backed away silently, my grandmother's words ringing in my ears. "Money is power, but only if you're smart about it." I pulled out my phone and typed a message to Prudence. "Remember that clause you added? Tell me everything about it. Now." Her response came immediately. "Come to my office first thing tomorrow, and Mara, bring every document you have." The next 3 weeks were a blur of spreadsheets, secret emails, and sleepless nights. I documented everything while pretending nothing was wrong. Every morning I kissed Liam goodbye like my heart wasn't turning to stone. "The numbers for the Asian contract look amazing," Isaiah said during our morning review. "You've single-handedly saved this company." I smiled tightly. "Just doing my job." "About that?" He lowered his voice. "I've noticed some irregular transfers from our main account." When I asked Liam, "Isaias," Liam burst into the office, all white teeth and designer suit. "Board meeting in 5. We need to discuss your position with the company." I watched Isaias pack up his desk that afternoon. He slipped me his personal card on the way out. "If you ever need anything." I pocketed it without a word. The celebration dinner for the $2 million contract was held at Diana's favourite restaurant. Crystal glasses clinked as Robert raised a toast. "To the biggest deal in company history," he beamed, "and to family." Diana touched her napkin to her lips. "Liam, darling, didn't you have an announcement?" My husband stood, straightening his tie. "Yes, actually. Perfect timing." He didn't look at me. "I've been doing some thinking about the future of the company. And my personal life." A waiter appeared at my elbow holding not a menu but an envelope. "Mara," Liam continued, "you've been instrumental in getting us here. But marriage and business don't mix. I'm filing for divorce." The restaurant went silent. I opened the envelope with steady hands, divorce papers neat and crisp inside. "You'll be compensated fairly, of course," Diana added, sipping her wine. "We're not monsters." "When?" My voice was surprisingly calm. "The papers were filed this morning," Liam said. "My lawyer will be in touch about the settlement." I stood up slowly, gathering my purse. "Congratulations on the contract." "Mara," Diana called as I reached the door. "You got us here." "Thank you. But you were always temporary." I made it to my car before calling Prudence. "They did it," I whispered. "Just like you predicted." "Are you sitting down?" Her voice was sharp with excitement. "They just tripped the clause. Bad faith divorce with intent to dispossess. We have them by the throat." "What do you mean?" "Remember that IP clause they didn't read? It had a trigger condition. If they attempted to force you out through divorce while leveraging your intellectual property, like that Asian contract you designed, ownership priority reverts to the original investor." My hands started shaking. "In English, Prudence. You own controlling interest in the company now. They just handed you everything." 1 week later, I watched from my temporary apartment as Liam hosted a company party. Through the office windows, I could see him introducing a young woman to the board. She was beautiful, in that Instagram-perfect way, cadence according to her LinkedIn profile. My phone buzzed with a text from Tori, the HR consultant I'd hired last month. "You were right. Found evidence of payroll fraud, multiple accounts. Want to see?" Another text came through, this one from Isaias. "Heard about the divorce. Also heard you might need a CFO soon. I kept copies of everything." A final message from Prudence. "Papers are ready. Say the word, and we start tomorrow." I thought about Diana's smirk, about Liam's dismissal of everything I'd built, about how they never bothered to read what they were signing because they never thought I was smart enough to matter. I texted back one word: begin. That night, I pulled out my grandmother's old business journal. Inside the cover she'd written, "Success isn't about being ruthless. It's about being ready when ruthless people show their hand." I took out my laptop and started typing, "Dear Board of Directors, I'm writing to express concerns about several financial irregularities." My phone lit up with another text from Prudence. "Just got the court date. Ready to watch them burn." I smiled for the first time in weeks. "No," I wrote back, "ready to watch them drown in their own poison." Through my window, I could see the company's logo glowing against the night sky. Soon, very soon, it would show a different name. Mine. Depression hit me like a freight train. For 2 weeks, I barely left my bed, surviving on delivery food and true crime documentaries. Prudence had to practically break down my door. "Enough," she announced, yanking open my curtains. "You've got a company to take over." I pulled the blanket over my head. "They won." "Really?" She sat on my bed. "Because last I checked, you're about to become their boss. Now shower. We have a meeting." An hour later, freshly showered and caffeinated, I sat in Prudence's office while she laid out documents across her desk. "Look at this," she pointed to a shareholding diagram. "Robert owns 30%, Diana 15%, Liam 25%. You had 30%, from your investment, but with the triggered clause. She drew a red arrow. You now control 51%. How? They transferred additional shares as collateral for the Asian contract. The one you designed, the one they're using to push you out. She grinned. Karma's a better lawyer than I am. My phone buzzed. A LinkedIn notification. Cadence has updated her profile. Head of Marketing, Rogers Family Imports. That's interesting, I muttered, opening her profile. Look at this. Prudence leaned in. She's taking credit for your marketing strategy. Every campaign you designed. She's rebranded them as her social media consulting wins. I scrolled through her posts. And dating them before I even joined the company. Document everything, Prudence advised. Screenshots, timestamps, original files. A knock at the door interrupted us. Isaiah stood there, looking sharp in a charcoal suit. Sorry to interrupt, he said, but I thought you should see these. He dropped a USB drive on the desk. Financial records from my last 3 months as CFO. Liam's been running double books. One for the board, one for reality. How bad? I asked. Bad enough for criminal charges. He sat down. They fired me because I asked too many questions about certain creative accounting practices. Prudence plugged in the drive. Personal expenses logged as business costs, inflated bonuses, kickbacks from vendors. She whistled. Diana's been writing off her entire lifestyle as business expenses. The board doesn't know, Isaiah added. Most of them are just rich friends of Robert's who like the prestige of a board seat. I stood up and walked to the window. Across the city I could see the company building. My building, technically. We need more, I said. Inside information about what they're doing now. Already handled, Prudence replied. Remember Tori, the HR consultant you hired? She's been documenting everything since she started. Employee complaints, irregular payments, hostile work environment claims. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. This is Cadence. Can we meet? There's something you should know. Don't, Prudence warned. It's a trap. Or it's ammunition, I countered, typing a response. Tomorrow, public place. Isaiah cleared his throat. There's something else. The company's trying to sell off assets before the quarter ends. They're stripping it bare. Can they do that? I asked Prudence. Not legally. Not without board approval, she started typing furiously. And certainly not without majority shareholder approval, which means yours. How long until we can move? Give me 2 weeks to prepare the injunction. We'll freeze everything. Accounts, assets, decisions. They won't be able to buy coffee without your approval. I picked up Cadence's LinkedIn photo again. Something about her expression. She knows, I said suddenly. Look at her eyes in this photo with Liam. She's terrified. Use it, Isaiah suggested. Fear makes people sloppy. My phone lit up with another text, this time from Diana. Dinner on Sunday, family tradition. Don't make this difficult. I showed it to Prudence, who laughed. They still think they're in control. Go, watch, listen, but record everything. Two can play the fake smile game, I agreed. As I left Prudence's office, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. They thought they were watching me crumble. Instead, they were watching me gather kindling for their bonfire. Oh, Prudence called after me. One more thing. The building lease? It's in your name now. All of them are. I turned back. What do you mean? I mean, technically, Diana's been running her social club out of your property without a lease or rent payments. For the first time since that dinner, I smiled, really smiled. Sent her a bill. The cafe where I met Cadence was exactly the kind of place she'd choose, all exposed brick and overpriced lattes. She sat nervously twirling her hair, looking more like a scared intern than the woman who'd helped destroy my marriage. They're going to destroy everything you built, she blurted before I could sit down. Liam's already talking about scrapping your vendor contracts. I stirred my coffee slowly. Why are you telling me this? Because he's doing the same thing to me that he did to you. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide her exhaustion. I thought I was special. You were, I said, until you weren't. Back at the office, Tori was waiting with a stack of files. You need to see this. Diana's been double-dipping on expense reports, charging both the company and her charity foundation for the same events. Tax fraud, I noted. Interesting. There's more. Tori lowered her voice. 3 employees have filed harassment complaints against Liam in the past month. HR buried them. I took the files. Make copies. Send them to Prudence. The elevator dinged, and Diana stepped out, pearls gleaming. She froze when she saw me. "What are you doing here?" she demanded. "Annual building inspection," I replied smoothly. "As the property owner, I have to ensure everything's up to code." Her face went pale. "Property owner? Oh, didn't Liam tell you? The building lease transferred to me when you filed for divorce. Speaking of which," I pulled an envelope from my bag. "Here's your first rent bill. 3 months overdue." "This is ridiculous," she sputtered. "Security." The guard approached slowly. I smiled at him. "Hi, Mike. How's your daughter doing with those college applications?" "Much better, Ms. Mara. Thanks for the scholarship recommendation." Diana stormed off, heels clicking furiously. My phone buzzed. A message from Isaias. "Board meeting called for tomorrow. They're trying to vote on selling the Asian division." "Can they do that?" I texted back. "Not without majority approval. But they don't know that yet." I forwarded the message to Prudence, who responded immediately. "Perfect timing. Injunction papers ready. Want to crash a board meeting." The next morning I dressed carefully. Charcoal suit, grandmother's pearl earrings, war paint red lipstick. The boardroom fell silent when I walked in. "What is she doing here?" Robert demanded. "Protecting my investment," I replied, taking a seat. "Please, continue." Liam cleared his throat. "We were discussing the sale of our Asian operations to global trade partners." "Interesting." I opened my laptop. "Because according to these documents, any sale requires majority shareholder approval." "Which we have," Diana snapped. "Actually," Prudence walked in, dropping papers in front of each board member. "You don't. Ms. Mara now controls 51% of shares, and she's filing an injunction to freeze all major business decisions pending investigation of financial irregularities." The room exploded. Robert turned purple. Diana knocked over her water glass. Liam just stared, finally seeing the trap he'd walked into. "This is absurd," he started. "Is it?" I projected screenshots onto the wall. "These are Cadence's social media posts, taking credit for marketing strategies dated before she joined. This is the double-entry bookkeeping system hiding executive bonuses. And these," I clicked again, "are Diana's duplicate expense reports." The board members shifted uncomfortably. "You can't prove anything," Diana hissed. "Actually," Tori stepped in, "as HR compliance officer, I've documented everything, including the buried harassment complaints." "You're making a mistake," Liam warned quietly. I turned to him, smile razor sharp. "No, you made the mistake. You thought I was just a signature on a check. You forgot who taught me business." My phone lit up with a text from Cadence. "They're meeting with Global Trade tonight. Private dinner. Want the details?" I stood up, gathering my things. "The injunction takes effect at midnight. Any attempts to transfer or sell assets after that will be considered criminal fraud. Have a lovely day." At the door I paused. "Oh, and Diana, the rent's due tomorrow. Cash only." The security guard held the door for me. Behind us I could hear the board members demanding explanations, their voices rising in panic. My phone buzzed again. Prudence. "Ready for phase 2? I texted back. "Light the match." The collapse happened faster than anyone expected. By Friday morning, 3 major vendors had pulled their contracts. By lunch, the company's stock had dropped 15%. "They're panicking," Isaias reported, watching Robert pace his office through the glass walls. "The Asian buyers want to renegotiate since Liam promised them deals he can't legally make." "What about the lawyers?" I asked. "Jumped ship the moment they saw Prudence's paperwork. Apparently they can't represent clients involved in potential securities fraud." My phone rang. Liam's number. "Missing me already?" I answered. "We need to talk," he said. "This has gone too far." "Funny." That's exactly what I thought when you served me divorce papers at dinner. Look, his voice softened, that same tone he'd used to convince me to invest. We can work something out. Maybe we were too hasty. I laughed. Are you trying to sleep your way back into control of my company? Our company, he corrected. And I miss you. No, I said. You miss my signature on the checks. That evening, I attended the annual Import-Export Gala. Diana usually dominated these events, but tonight she was notably absent. I wore red, not just any red, but the exact shade of the new company logo I'd designed. Mara! The CEO of our biggest retail partner waved me over. Brilliant work with the Asian expansion, though I hear there are some changes coming. Just a small leadership restructuring, I smiled. All positive changes, I assure you. Wonderful. We should discuss increasing our order volume next quarter. Across the room, Cadence stood alone, clutching her phone. She'd tried launching a wellness products division last week. It failed spectacularly. My phone buzzed with updates throughout the night. Prudence. Bank accounts frozen. They can't even access petty cash. Tori. Diana tried to access the building after hours. Security turned her away. Isaias. Robert's calling emergency board meetings. Nobody's showing up. I was leaving when Liam appeared beside my car. You've made your point, he said. Name your price. You still don't get it, I replied. This isn't about money. This is about consequences. We didn't have to go this far, he pleaded. You're right, we didn't, but you did. The next morning, Diana attempted damage control. She hosted a private brunch for key investors. At her country club, naturally. I wasn't invited, but Tori was. It was a disaster, she reported later. She tried pitching some new business direction, but halfway through her presentation, the club manager interrupted. Oh? Apparently her membership was paid through company expenses, which are now frozen. They escorted her out. I checked my email. The board had called an emergency vote of confidence for tomorrow morning. They're trying to oust you before the quarterly reports go public, Isaias warned. Let them try. I forwarded him an email. Send this to every board member tonight. The email contained 3 things: complete documentation of the financial fraud, proof of Diana's double billing scheme, and evidence of Liam's attempts to illegally sell company assets. Add a personal note, I told Isaias. As majority shareholder, I look forward to discussing these findings at tomorrow's meeting. That night, I found my grandmother's old business cards in a drawer. Simple, elegant, with her favourite saying embossed in gold. Success is the best revenge. My phone lit up with a final flurry of messages. Cadence. Liam's drinking at the office. He's scared. Prudence. Final paperwork filed. You're clear to proceed. Tori. Security footage shows Diana removing files from the building. Isaias. Board members want private meetings before tomorrow's vote. I texted back one response to all of them. Tomorrow everything changes. Then I poured myself a glass of wine and watched the city lights from my apartment. Somewhere out there, the Rogers family was scrambling, calling in favours, trying to save what they'd built. But they'd forgotten one crucial detail. They hadn't built it. I had. And tomorrow I'd remind them exactly who they'd underestimated. The boardroom looked different at 7 a.m. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating 12 empty chairs around a massive oak table. I sat at the head, Prudence and Isaias flanking me, waiting. They arrived in waves. First, the independent board members, avoiding eye contact. Then Robert and Diana, faces tight with barely controlled rage. Finally, Liam, with Cadence trailing behind like a shadow. Before we begin, I said, sliding folders to each person, please review these documents. What is this? Robert demanded, but his voice cracked as he opened the file. Evidence, Prudence answered. Financial fraud, tax evasion, misappropriation of company funds, falsified board reports. Diana's face went white. These are private records. Correction, Isaias interjected. These are company records. Records I maintained as CFO before being wrongfully terminated for questioning them. The oldest board member, a retired judge, adjusted his glasses. These expense reports, they're doubled. Triple in some cases, I noted. The company paid for Diana's spa treatments, Robert's golf memberships, and Liam's personal entertainment expenses. Cadence flinched. This is a witch hunt, Liam stood up. I move to vote for immediate removal of— Sit down, I cut him off. You don't have the authority to move for anything anymore. Prudence distributed another set of documents. As of midnight, Ms. Mara controls 51% of voting shares. The leadership vote today isn't about removing her. It's about removing you. The room erupted. Diana knocked over her water glass. Robert started shouting about family legacy. But the independent board members were already reading, faces growing darker with each page. There's more, I continued over the chaos. Liam attempted to sell our Asian division without board approval. Diana charged personal expenses to both the company and her charity foundation. And Robert— I paused, letting the tension build. Robert has been running parallel books for tax purposes, the retired judge cleared his throat. These allegations are extremely serious. They're not allegations, Isaiah said, connecting his laptop to the projector. They're facts, with timestamps, signatures, and digital trails. Emails, bank statements, and doctored reports filled the screen. Years of fraud exposed in high-definition clarity. You ungrateful little— Diana started. Mrs. Rogers, the judge interrupted. I strongly advise you to remain silent. Liam tried a different approach. Mara, please, we can discuss this privately. Like you discussed divorcing me privately? I smiled. Or like you privately discussed replacing me with Cadence? Cadence suddenly stood up. He promised me shares, she blurted. He said once you were gone, I'd be part owner. But he lied. He lies about everything. Diana whirled on her. You stupid girl. Enough. I stood up. I move for an immediate vote to remove the current executive team for breach of fiduciary duty and criminal misconduct. Seconded, the judge said firmly. All in favour. Hands raised around the table. Even Cadence's shot up, tears streaming down her face. This is impossible, Robert whispered. This company is our legacy. Was your legacy, I corrected. Now it's my company. Security will escort you out, Isaiah said, pressing a button. Your personal items will be shipped to you after a thorough audit. As they were led away, Diana turned back. You'll regret this. You're nothing without our name. Actually, Prudence handed me one final document. As of this morning, the company has a new name. The paperwork's already filed. I watched them leave, Robert leaning heavily on his cane, Diana clutching her pearls, Liam looking lost without his audience. Decades of entitlement ended in a 30-minute meeting. Ms. Mara, the judge approached. The board would like to formally appoint you as CEO, effective immediately. Thank you, I said. I accept. My phone buzzed with a message from Tori. New signs are ready. Want them installed today? I looked out the window at the old company logo, remembering Diana's words from that dinner. You were always temporary. Yes, I texted back. Put them up now. Prudence squeezed my shoulder. How does it feel? I watched as workers began removing the old letters from the building's facade. Ask me tomorrow. We have work to do. The judge smiled. The board is at your disposal, CEO. CEO. I liked the sound of that. The new company name gleamed in the morning sun. Legacy Imports and Innovation. Below it, in smaller letters, founded by Mara Dawson. They're here, Tori announced through my office intercom. I straightened my grandmother's pearls, so different from Diana's fake ones, and stepped into the lobby. 300 employees waited, confusion and anxiety plain on their faces. Good morning, I began. I'm Mara. Some of you know me as the woman who saved this company 2 years ago. Others know me as Liam's ex-wife. Today, I'm your new CEO. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I know you have questions. Yes, the Rogers family is gone. Yes, there are changes coming, but your jobs are secure, unless you've been falsifying expense reports. I paused, letting that sink in. In fact, We're implementing the employee profit-sharing program that was promised 3 years ago. The murmurs turned to gasps. One more thing, I added. The suggestion box in HR, it's real now, use it. Back in my office, Robert's old office, Isaias waited with the morning reports. Stocks up 12%, he said. The market likes stability more than dynasty. And the vendors. Coming back. Turns out they prefer dealing with someone who actually reads contracts. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Look outside. Liam stood on the sidewalk staring up at the new sign. I took the elevator down. Nice touch, he said as I approached. Using your own name. Better than stealing someone else's work. He flinched. I loved you, you know. In the beginning. No, I replied. You loved what I could do for you. There's a difference. I want to make a deal. You're in no position to make deals. The Asian contracts belong to me. I cut him off. Along with everything else you thought you could take. His face hardened. My father built this company, and I rebuilt it. The difference is, I have proof of everything I did, and everything you did. Security approached, but I waved them back. You know what the funny thing is? I continued. I would have given you everything freely, but you had to take it. Had to prove you were smarter, stronger, better. We could have been great together. No, I'm great on my own. You're just... I glanced at his wrinkled suit, his desperate eyes. Temporary. Back upstairs, Prudence waited with more papers. Diana's lawyer called. They want to negotiate. No deals. Good, because the FBI wants their financial records. I raised an eyebrow. All of them. Especially the offshore accounts Cadence told us about. She grinned. Turns out she kept very detailed records of everything Liam asked her to do. My phone lit up with notifications. Business Weekly. Legacy Imports announces new leadership. Market Watch. Female CEO takes control after family fraud scandal. Local News. Historic import company rebrands under new management. Tori knocked and entered. The all-hands meeting is ready, and... You should see this. She handed me her tablet. On it, Diana's social media showed her attempting damage control. Our family business stolen by a gold digger. The comments below were brutal. Didn't she steal from her own charity? My sister worked there. The Rogers were terrible bosses. Finally, someone held them accountable. Should we respond? Tori asked. No need, I replied. Success is the best response. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across my new office as I prepared for the all-hands meeting. A small box arrived from my apartment. My grandmother's old business journals. I opened one randomly. Power isn't about having the biggest voice. It's about having the clearest truth. My phone buzzed one last time. Cadence. Thank you for showing me what real strength looks like. I stepped onto the stage, facing hundreds of employees. My employees now. Their faces showed hope, uncertainty, possibility. Welcome to day one, I began. Let me tell you about our future. Behind me, through floor-to-ceiling windows, the new company name caught the setting sun, throwing golden light across the room. My grandmother would have loved that. Sometimes karma needs a little help. Sometimes justice wears a business suit and carries a folder of receipts. Sometimes the best revenge is simply becoming exactly who they said you could never be. Another one? Prudence handed me the envelope, watching my face carefully. Diana never gives up, I said, opening what had to be her 20th request for reinstatement. Still thinks she can charm her way back onto the board, while under federal investigation for tax fraud. Prudence laughed. Bold strategy. I stamped denied in red across the letter, adding it to my collection. The wall behind my desk was becoming a gallery of desperate Rogers family attempts to regain control. My intercom buzzed. Ms. Mara, the community grant recipients are here. The conference room was packed with small business owners. 20 entrepreneurs I'd selected for Legacy's first incubator program. My grandmother believed success meant lifting others up, I told them. Each of you will receive seed funding, mentorship, and distribution support through our networks. A young woman raised her hand. Why us? Why not just maximize corporate profits? Because power without purpose is just greed in a nice suit. Later, reviewing quarterly reports with Isaias, I noticed something odd. These numbers, they're better than projected. People work harder when they own part of the company, he smiled. That profit-sharing program was genius. Speaking of ownership, I slid a document across the desk. How would you like to be COO? His hands shook slightly as he read the offer. Are you sure? I need someone I trust, someone who saw the truth even when it cost him his job. My phone buzzed. Tori sending the daily update. Employee satisfaction up 40%, vendor relationships stabilized, 3 new major contracts signed. Diana's country club membership officially revoked, Ms. Mara. My assistant poked her head in. There's someone here to see you. Says she's your grandmother's old friend. An elderly woman entered, elegant in a simple blue dress. Margaret, she introduced herself. Your grandmother and I started our first business together. Please sit, I offered. What can I do for you? Do? She laughed. Oh no, dear. I came to see what you've already done. Rose would be so proud. My throat tightened. You think so? She always said you had it, that fire, that clarity. Margaret touched the nameplate on my desk. But she worried you'd be too kind. I learned kindness isn't weakness. No, she agreed. It's ammunition when used correctly. A knock interrupted us. Cadence stood in the doorway looking professional in a business suit. The youth marketing presentation is ready, she said, if you're still willing to hear it. I'd hired her back last week, entry-level, no special treatment. Her ideas were good when they were actually hers. 5 minutes, I nodded. Margaret stood to leave. One last thing. Have you checked your grandmother's safety deposit box? What? Box 317, First National. Rose said you'd know when it was time. That evening, I opened the box with trembling hands. Inside lay a single envelope. For Mara, when she's ready to build something new. The letter contained incorporation papers from my grandmother's first company, handwritten notes about supplier relationships, and a key piece of advice. Power is heavy, darling. Share the weight with those who prove worthy of trust. My phone lit up. Prudence. FBI's closing in on Robert's offshore accounts. Isaias. Asian division profits doubled under new management. Tori. Employee suggestion box actually has suggestions now. A final message came through. Liam. I miss you. I deleted it without responding. Some chapters need to stay closed. Looking out over the city, I noticed small changes in the skyline. New businesses opening, old ones evolving. Legacy's logo shone among them, no longer a symbol of family dynasty, but of earned success. My assistant knocked softly. Tomorrow's schedule. Move the board meeting earlier, I decided. I want to discuss expanding the incubator program. Of course. Oh, and Ms. Mara. The staff pitched in for this. She handed me a frame containing my first company memo, signed by every employee. Below my signature, they'd added, "Thank you for making us part of something better." I hung it beside Diana's denied requests, a perfect contrast of what was and what could be. They said I was temporary, but I became permanent instead. They thought I was powerless, but I became power itself. They tried to write my ending, but I wrote my own beginning. And this story, it's just getting started.